Self-discipline feels powerful in the beginning. You wake up earlier than usual. You make your bed. You go to the gym. You plan your day. For the first time in a while, you feel in control. You think, this is it. This time I've changed. And for a few days, maybe even 2 weeks, everything works. You're focused. You're consistent. You're proud of yourself. And then something small happens. You miss one workout. You scroll longer than you planned. You delay one task. Nothing dramatic, but something shifts. The next day feels heavier. The resistance feels stronger. The discipline that felt automatic now feels forced. And within a few days, you're back where you started. Same habits, same guilt, same internal dialogue. Why can't I just stay consistent? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Self-discipline was never meant to carry your entire life. And the reason it stops working isn't because you're weak. It's because you're using it wrong. Most people treat discipline like a permanent fuel source. But discipline is not fuel. It's a spark. And sparks don't last. If you try to live off a spark, you burn out. And that burnout doesn't feel like exhaustion. It feels like failure. That's the dangerous part. You don't say, my system is flawed. You say, I lack discipline. And once you believe that, every setback becomes proof. But what if the real problem is not your willpower? What if the real problem is that you're trying to win a long game with a short-term tool? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why discipline fades, why it always fades, and what actually creates consistency that lasts longer than motivation. Because once you understand this, you stop fighting yourself, and that changes everything. Let's break this down. Every time you force yourself to do something you don't feel like doing, you're spending mental energy, not physical energy, decision energy, self-control energy. And that energy is limited. Think about it. In the morning, it's easy to make the right choice. You wake up and say, I'm not touching my phone. I'm going to eat clean. I'll focus deeply today. At 7 a.m., you feel powerful. At 9 p.m., you feel different. After a full day of decisions, conversations, stress, distractions, your brain is tired. And when your brain is tired, it defaults to what is easy. This isn't weakness. This is biology. High performers understand this. Look at Michael Jordan. People talk about his discipline, but what made him dominant wasn't daily bursts of willpower. It was systems, fixed routines, structured training, clear standards. He didn't wake up every day asking, do I feel like training? Training was non-negotiable. The decision was already made. Now compare that to how most people operate. You wake up and negotiate with yourself. Should I work out today? Maybe I'll start tomorrow. I deserve a break. Every negotiation drains you. And by the end of the day, you've lost more energy deciding than actually doing. That's why discipline fades, because you're using it to override friction instead of removing friction. Let me give you a simple example. 2 people want to stop eating junk food. Person A says, I'll just use willpower. Person B removes junk food from the house. Guess who lasts longer? Not the stronger person, the smarter system. Self-discipline fails when it's constantly fighting your environment. If your phone is next to your bed, if your workspace is full of distractions, if your routine is undefined, you are asking discipline to fight chaos, and chaos always wins long term. This is where most people get stuck. They try harder, they double down, they add stricter rules, they shame themselves. But the harder you push, the more resistance builds. It's like holding a heavy weight with straight arms. You can do it for a while, but eventually your muscles give out. Not because you're weak, because that's not how strength is meant to be used. Discipline is powerful in short bursts, but consistency? Consistency is structural. And if you don't understand that difference, you'll keep restarting your life every Monday.
Here's something uncomfortable.
Discipline feels productive. That's why it's addictive. When you force yourself to wake up early, when you push through resistance, when you override laziness, it feels powerful. You feel in control. But control in the moment is not the same as sustainability. Most people build their progress on emotional intensity, a powerful Monday, a motivated January, a productive morning. But emotional intensity fades, and when it fades, so does the structure, because there was no structure. Let me explain it like this. Imagine building a house. Would you rather A, hold the roof up with pure strength every day, or B, install beams that hold it automatically? Discipline is holding the roof. Beams are the systems. One depends on effort, the other removes the need for it. This is why people who seem disciplined from the outside often collapse in private. Burnout, inconsistency, cycles of overworking and quitting. We've seen this happen with high achievers. Take Mike Tyson. Unbelievable talent, insane discipline in training camps. But outside of a strong structure, his performance became unstable. When the system around him collapsed, so did the consistency. Discipline without structure is fragile. Now contrast that with someone like Kobe Bryant. People talk about his Mamba mentality, but if you look closely, it wasn't random intensity, it was ritual. Same wake-up times, same training blocks, same repetition. He reduced decisions. He automated standards. That's the difference. Most people try to become stronger. The rare ones redesign their lives. And here's where the illusion becomes dangerous. When discipline works temporarily, you think the solution is more discipline. So you push harder, wake up earlier, cut more sleep, add stricter rules. But pushing harder increases friction, and friction increases fatigue. Eventually, something breaks. You stop, you feel guilty, you restart, and the cycle repeats. It's not that you lack character, it's that you're using the wrong tool for a long-term job. Discipline is a spark. Systems are the engine. And if your engine isn't built correctly, no spark will carry you far. So if discipline fades, if motivation burns out, if willpower is limited, what actually works? Structure. But not the rigid, extreme, wake up at 4 a.m. kind. I'm talking about intelligent structure, the kind that reduces friction instead of increasing pressure. Here's the shift. Stop asking, how do I push myself harder? Start asking, how do I make this easier to repeat? Because repetition is what builds identity, and identity is what sustains behavior. Let me give you something practical. Most people fail not because the goal is too big. They fail because the activation energy is too high. If working out requires driving 20 minutes, changing clothes, a perfect mood, 90 minutes of time, you won't do it consistently. But if it requires shoes next to the bed, 10 push-ups, no decision, you remove the fight. Disciplined people don't win because they fight harder. They win because they fight less. Look at someone like Cristiano Ronaldo. People focus on his work ethic, but what made him sustainable wasn't emotion, it was routine. Sleep schedule, nutrition control, training structure. Standards became automatic. There's no daily debate, no negotiation. That's what you want, because negotiation drains energy. Every time you ask yourself, should I do this? You're already losing. Now, here's the deeper truth. Self-discipline stops working after a while because it was never meant to carry the entire load. It's a bridge, not a destination. You use discipline once to install structure. After that, structure carries you. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you rely on motivation? No, it's embedded, automatic, identity-based. That's the goal.
When good actions feel optional, they require discipline. When they feel normal, they require nothing. And that's freedom. Not forcing yourself, not hyping yourself, not blaming yourself. Designing a life where progress is the default. So here's the real question for you. What in your life still requires daily emotional effort, and how can you reduce the friction around it? Because once you do that, discipline stops wearing out, progress stops depending on mood, and consistency becomes quiet, predictable, sustainable.
If this changed how you see discipline, then good. That means you're thinking structurally now. This channel isn't about hype. It's about building systems that don't collapse when motivation disappears. If you're serious about long-term growth, stay here, because the next video is about something even more dangerous than lack of discipline, the hidden habits that sabotage you without you noticing. See you there.